on Air here at Reinforce in Boston. My name is Steve DeVera, and I'm part of the AWS Customer Incident Response team. And today I'm here with my colleague Mohammed Rafatullah, and we're going to discuss recent trends we've been seeing related to application security events. We're also going to look at how to detect and respond to those types of events using AWS services such as CloudWatch, CloudTrail, Athena, and GuardDuty. Mohammed, do you want to give our viewers a bit of an introduction as to who we are and what our team does?
Sure, thanks, Steve. I'm Mohammed Rafatullah, security consultant working with Steve on the ProServe Global Security Practice Customer Incident Response team. We support AWS customers with analysis and advice during active security events within the parameters of our incident response model. Security, Steve, is a shared responsibility between AWS and our customers.
Yeah.
Our team works on the customer side of the shared responsibility model. As you know, AWS is responsible for protecting our infrastructure, our network, the physical hardware. And customers are responsible for security in the cloud. That means that they're responsible for controlling access to their infrastructure, to use the principle of least privilege to provide access. They use WAF or ELB for perimeter defense, and they set up logging and backup critical data. And if the customer needs assistance on their side of the shared responsibility model, then they can contact their account team or Premier Support, and they'll open up a ticket and escalate that to us.
Excellent. Yeah, that's great, Mohammed, and thanks for covering that.
Sure.
And as far as what we've been seeing lately, can you cover a little bit of the recent security events, the TTPs that we've been seeing?
Sure. So recently we've seen several instances where people have had data destroyed from their accounts.
Right.
They've been unauthorized resource creation, such as EC2 instances, or there's been unauthorized console logins, and also remote code execution from their accounts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, excellent. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned those TTPs. We're definitely going to go into a little bit of depth as to how to respond to those types of events. We're going to be taking a look at CloudWatch and also Athena, and CloudTrail. Mohammed, do you use CloudTrail at all?
Yeah, CloudTrail is actually one of my go-to tools in day-to-day practice.
Right.
It's the best starting off point for security investigations. It helps us find out who did what, when, and where. And CloudTrail records user activities, from login as well as from all the APIs that they've used. So it's very useful for us.
Excellent, yeah, and the great thing about CloudTrail is that it does definitely give you that overall account activity throughout your infrastructure.
That's right.
And I kind of liken it to that song, Every Breath You Take by the Police, every breath you take, every move you make, I'll be watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah, CloudTrail is like that. It's like every access key you take, every API call you make, I'll be logging you. It's brilliant, actually. I kind of like that. But yeah, so with CloudTrail, we can detect and take a look at a number of security events. One of the things that I want to take a look at today, we're going to look at a few of them. The first one being the fact that from an unauthorized use perspective, we can look at how web applications are accessed and how to detect that unauthorized access, right? So generally speaking, if you make a request to a HTTP web application, you're not also going to include the request to the EC2 metadata instance itself.
That's right. And
so that's one of the ways we can detect that unauthorized use. So I'm going to go to CloudWatch, first of all. And what I'm going to do, full disclosure, I pre-built this web application. It's kind of like a cooking show. I built some of it before and some of the ingredients previously, and continue on with the rest of the baking here. I've pre-built the web application. I've tied in the Apache access logs into CloudWatch so that the Apache access logs are actually being ingested by CloudWatch. And I'm going to query the CloudWatch logs. If I first of all, set the query. I'm going to set my scope time to, actually I'm going to make that 5 weeks. And so this basically goes back 5 weeks into time and takes a look at the available logs. I'm going to select my Apache access log group, and then I'm going to run the query.
Steve, what is this IP address that you're using here? It's a little unusual, 169.254.169.254.
This one here? That's a great question, Mohammed. So that IP address is the IP address of the EC2 instance metadata service itself.
Okay.
And so, as I mentioned previously, these are the results from that particular query, where we're looking at the Apache access logs that include that IP address.
I see.
So if I dig into the results, we can take a look at here. We have, first of all, the date and time that the access was recorded.
Yeah.
You've got the page or the path, demo.php.
Yeah.
You have the remote IP address, which is 72.21.196.64. And you have the user agent. And here it's Windows PowerShell.
Ah, right.
So that's one thing that you want to think about. If in your environment you don't normally use
PowerShell,
right? Or you don't see that a lot, that might ring some alarm bells.
That's right.
Yeah. But the interesting thing about this particular log entry is the query itself. So if you take a look at here at the site parameter, right? It's also calling the EC2 instance metadata, which is here.
Ah, that's interesting. Yes.
Right? And in addition to that, it's calling
the web dev account.
That's correct.
Yes.
The security credentials of the web dev role, right? So if you're doing some troubleshooting, you might want to take a look at site parameter in this demo.php page.
Yeah.
But that's some interesting information to take a look at when you're reviewing these Cloud Shell logs. So, yeah. Okay. So the other thing I want to take a look at, another example of unauthorized activity, is using Athena to view CloudTrail logs.
And Athena is great for any flat logs, right? Log files,
exactly.
CSVs, and searching those with SQL.
Yeah, that's correct. So I'm going to issue this query here. So what we've seen is that with regards to unauthorized use, that specific API calls are made. Create user is one of them.
Right.
So for example, we saw previously with CloudWatch, the credentials were obtained for the web dev role. They would then attempt to create a user. So let's use Athena to query CloudTrail for the create user API.
Okay.
And we see here we have a number of results.
Quite a few.
Yeah, quite a few actually. So the interesting thing about this is if you're using this particular query, it actually captures all valid results as well.
So that would be authentic or authorized create user events as well as any that might be unauthorized.
That's correct. So we would need to filter that down because that does include false positives if we're looking for unauthorized activity. So what I'm doing here is actually filtering the results by using a wildcard filter for I dash.
I dash, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking at, that's the instance ID for EC2s?
That's correct. That's correct, Mohammed. Yeah, that's the, so every EC2 instance starts with I dash. And so basically we're narrowing down the requests, API requests for create user with I dash as a wildcard.
I see.
And
because only authentic users might have come from console login rather than EC2s, right?
Exactly. And with the results here, we've narrowed it down to 3 results now. You can see some interesting items here. The event time and date also includes the date.
Yes.
The API call create user. You have a different source IP address.
Yes.
You'll have the error code, access denied.
Access denied.
But also included in the error message is the actual, if I could, let me see. Yeah. So here, the username ADM1N was basically what was attempted to be created.
Nice.
Right? So if this actually succeeded, you may be able to pivot on that particular piece of information.
Right.
Okay. So there are other resource creation attempts.
Yeah.
One is create stack and create change set. So basically using CloudFormation templates to attempt to create resources. Another one that we've seen is console login. So I'm going to issue this particular query here. Yeah, so actually, let's remove that. So this query looks for console logins.
I see.
Yeah, and Yeah, so there's a lot of console logins.
Again, a lot of logins.
Yeah, so then we need to filter it again, right? Using that EC2 instance wildcard. So let's do that. Okay, and as we're waiting for the results, there shouldn't be as many results as there were before. Again, what this is doing is basically looking for where an EC2 instance credential was used to log into the console.
Right, from a EC2.
Oh yeah, so basically, we use CloudWatch to obtain, to see how the unauthorized use captured the EC2 instance credentials.
Right.
Those credentials here we used to log into the console, and we have some results. So interestingly enough, with this particular result of Athena query, you'll get a success.
And there's no error code.
There's no error code. But one thing that you might want to consider is that, EC2 instances, I mean, they don't even have thumbs. How can they log into a console? I mean, it would be as rare as a pink-footed platypus, say, right? So if you see that at all, it's something that you might also want to consider is something that would trigger a security investigation or something like that. Right. Now, the last unauthorized access or method of unauthorized access I want to take a look at is where, well, my Cloud Shell ended again. Well, I might need to restart it.
I think it's...
Is it joke time?
Yes, I think it's time for a joke.
Yeah, I think this happened last time. Well, so the last joke I said was, why did the hacker not get caught?
Yes, I don't remember why the hacker not get caught.
Because he ran somewhere. All right, and then the other joke I would say is, why did Spider-Man start learning Java?
Why did Spider-Man start learning Java?
Because he wanted to be a better web developer? I don't know, something like that. Anyway, this is still going to take a couple of minutes. I thought we'd escape the timeout. Mohammed, do you want to go into a little of the mitigations and preventions?
I will, yeah, sure. One of the things that the attack that you just showed depends on is the IMDSv1 service. Correct, we do have a newer version of the IMDSv service, which is IMDSv2, and that service requires a token for authentication, which is generated by an HTTP put request. And that kind of mitigates this attack by having that token requirement.
Exactly.
So one of the things that we're recommending to our customers is to update their EC2 instances to IMDSv2 if that is possible in their environment.
Yeah, and additionally to that, it's really the application security itself. So you want to make sure that your application is secure, that doesn't prevent any type of unauthorized use via SSRF.
That's right. And as far as the application is concerned, the SSRF has been added to OWASP Top 10 on request of customers from OWASP itself.
Yeah, I definitely believe that.
This is part of the OWASP Top 10 vulnerability.
Excellent. Yeah, that's good to know. So now we see Cloud Shell has come back up.
Great.
I want to take a look at also GuardDuty, which is something that we said we'd look at.
Yeah.
So we see an unauthorized access instance credential exfiltration, this particular finding. So if we scroll down here, you can see the remote IP address and the account that the finding triggered on. You can also see here the API call, send command. So send command, we can query send command in CloudTrail and Athena. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, and the results show a few things, but interesting here, what is interesting are the response elements. So you see here command IDs. We can actually search on those command IDs with Cloud Shell. Let me click on Cloud Shell. Okay, it works now. I was afraid I'd have to tell some more jokes.
That's good.
So let's query with Cloud Shell that particular command ID. Okay. And
all part of live demos here.
Exactly. And so we see the command, who am I?
Who am I? Yep.
Right? And it was a success.
Great. Yep.
Okay. And then we can also take that same command ID here, and look for the output, right? So the way we do that is take a look at the command invocations. So I'm just going to, okay.
Just need the command, right? Command ID.
Oh yeah, so again,
a little bit.
demo gods.
Yeah.
I didn't pray to them. I didn't sacrifice my first bagel of the day to the demo gods. They don't.
There you go.
Okay, there you go. Right. Thank you. So the command was a success, and the output is root.
Great.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So those are a few of the ways that we can actually detect or respond to unauthorized access of an application that has
Yes.
yeah, basically those
SSRF.
types of
Attack. Steve, I saw that you use GuardDuty over here, so I want to point out something to our viewers, that GuardDuty depends on sending out emails to the account that is registered for the root on that. Our customers should update their accounts, make sure that somebody is actually able to respond to the GuardDuty emails. Right. Preferably, that's going to a group and not to a person. So I just want to point that out. Also, I'd like to point out that our team was ready to deal with these kinds of events when our customers, unfortunately, if they experience these. Let your TAM or your Premier support know that you've got an incident, and they'll escalate that up to us.
Yeah,
right?
That's great. Yeah. Is there any other calls to action in terms of mitigation, prevention, perhaps principle of least privilege? Anything else?
Yeah. So definitely, I would say that securing your accounts, using least privilege, rotating your keys. These are all parts of mitigations that we advise when customers have these kinds of events, right? And we also have our safe room episode that we had with for revoking exposed IAM credentials that I would recommend that everybody watch.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, our safe room episodes are on every Friday, and we talk about new and emerging threats in our safe room episode. So I'd recommend that just a little bit of promotion for our team's Twitch show. Yeah.
Excellent. Great. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed today's working session. And if you're here in Boston, come by, drop by, and say hello.
Thanks.